thereafter the university after. President and Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Executive Governor of Oyo State, Vice Chancellor UI, other Vice Chancellors here present, former university administrators, the chairman of today's occasion, keynote speaker, special guest of honor, Director General, International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, very distinguished academics, principal investigator, Gender Mainstream Office, University of Ibadan, other stakeholders on gender issues all over the world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Council, Senate, congregation, staff and students of the University of Ibadan, I especially welcome you to the first International Interdisciplinary Conference organized by Gender Mainstream Office of the University of Ibadan. The theme of this conference is Gender and Higher Education in Africa, Emerging Issues. The conference is held in the conference center Center of the University of Ibadan from today, Tuesday, 12th to 13th March 2013. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to formally welcome the Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Isaac Folorunsho Adewale, FAS, being ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Ariola Olasunbo Sanya. May I inform this assembly that Professor Olasunbo Sanya is the first female to occupy that position in our university. She is also the first female professor of physiotherapy in Africa. May I also welcome and present to you the chairman of today's occasion, very distinguished academic, Professor of Agricultural Economics, former Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, University of Ibadan, Professor James A. Akewumi. Let me also recognize our mother, the special guest of honor, very distinguished academic, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, academic of our university, mentor of many generations of communication and language artists anywhere in the world, distinguished Professor Abiola I. Odejide. May I also inform this assembly that Professor Abiola Odejide is also the first female to occupy the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor academic in our university. May I also recognize the distinguished presence of our mother, another worthy academic, an international daughter of the world, or let me say, a citizen of the world. For me and many of us who admire her, she is no simply as BA, no Bachelor of Arts. Very distinguished Professor Bolanle Awe. May we put our hands together. In my setting, if you celebrate 60, you are Agba. If you celebrate 70, you are Agbalagba. If you celebrate 80, you are Agbalagba. May we put our hands together for Mama 80, Agbalagba, Bolanle Awe. Mama, you will celebrate 90. You will celebrate 100. You will celebrate 120. And you will never die. When a wonderful person dies, and that person leaves behind wonderful children, that person has not died. My mind will never die. May I also recognize the distinguished presence of the keynote speaker, very distinguished in every way. From the Department of Economics, University of Abuja, please join me as I welcome Professor Sarah Uwanyawu. Let me also present to this august assembly another distinguished academic, the Chair Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences from Savannah State University, Savannah, Georgia, USA. Very distinguished Professor Adebadu. Let me also quickly recognize the presence of the Director General of IITA, Dr. Interanya Sangiga, in every way a native of Nigeria, but born and bred in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He is being ably represented here this morning by Dr. Elizabeth Parker, a scientist with IITA Ibadan. In every way, this assembly may wish to know that Dr. Sagega is a friend of our university, and that institute continues to partner on many agricultural programs with our university. May we put our hands together for IIT once again. Let me also recognize the presence of a mother, an academic, very distinguished, a member of University of Ibadan Anti-Corruption and Transparency Monitoring Committee, in every way, very distinguished and versatile. Please join me as I welcome Professor Janice E. Olaoye. Honestly, in all the cases of corruption that I've seen in Nigeria, take the statistics. Hardly can you find women there. Please put your hands together for our women. The Vice Chancellor, sir, other courses are properly extended. Let me recognize in a special way somebody who has a deep sense of fairness and justice. The next Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Ayodele Falashe. Professor Falashe is a surgeon, cardiologist. But when I studied his writing when he was in office and in his clinic, just like any other doctor, you hardly can understand the prescription of medical doctors. But when they write their bills, honestly, you will understand. So whenever Oga wanted to write anything in terms of monetary requisition, before I approve, that I approve you receive very clearly because it was understood everything inside that. They will put that together. All the days of Professor Ayodele Olaoye Falashe. Let me also quickly specially recognize our lead speakers, the other speakers here this morning. First is the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences of Bafemi Awolowo University, very distinguished Professor Olabisi Aina. May I also recognize the presence of former Dean Faculty of Science, University of Ilorin, and annex of UI, Professor Sylvia O. Maloma. Let me also recognize the presence of my teacher, my brother, but he prefer that I address him as my friend, but you are my teacher anytime, any day, Professor Francis Ibrahim. Of the Department of Linguistics and African Languages, Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan. Let me also recognize the presence of the Dean Faculty of Education, very distinguished Professor C.O.O. Kolawole. I think we have this research team for you, sir. Professor Maloma, Professor Aina, Professor Ibrahim. And by the special grace of God, this is being made possible by a committee in our university, and we have the principal investigator on that committee and the gender mainstream office here today. Please join me, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in welcoming our PI, Dr. Stella Odebode. May I also recognize the distinguished presence of the Dean, Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry of our university, Professor Adeni Itogo. The immediate past Dean, Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry, University of Ibadan, Professor Ambrose Emilolorun Aguilari. Let me also recognize, at a point in time, my boss, and in every way, a distinguished academic and administrator, somebody with untarnished accomplishments in the Faculty of Law of my university, the Dean of Law, Professor Oluyemisi Adefunke Bangose. I worked with her at the time as the faculty officer. Another line of applaud of Professor Bangose. Let me also recognize specially my mother and wife of our former Vice Chancellor, in our own right, an academic and very distinguished Dr. Mrs. Adilola Falashi. Now, especially the Director of Academic Planning in the University of Ibadan, Mr. Adegoke Onjelabi. Duly extended former Dean of Education of our university, Professor Atimo. The active Vice Chancellor, please permit me to recognize specially my teacher. And I want to confess publicly, I drank from a fountain of knowledge in the Department of Communication and Languages. Please join me as I present to this assembly Dr. Beatrice Adeyinka Lanihun. Ma, they still want to see you. Please rise for recognition. We check other recognitions, but now the Vice Chancellor, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the Principal Investigator, Dr. Stella Odebode, to please present our commander, Dr. Odebode.
The Vice Chancellor, in person of Professor Isaac Folorunsho Adewale, ably represented by the DVC admin, Professor Ariola Soyan, the chairman of today's occasion, the special guest of honor, our mama, Professor Abiola Odejide, other special guest of honor, and the HODs, let me just stand on the existing protocols to just not to waste our time. On behalf of the gender focal persons of the University of Ibadan, I'd like to welcome you all to this first international interdisciplinary conference organized by the Gender Mainstreaming Office of the University of Ibadan. This is also in honor of our amiable, dynamic, erudite, beautiful, let me say handsome, retired Professor Abiola Odejide, the pioneer principal investigator of the Gender Mainstreaming Project of the University of Ibadan. Today is definitely, I am particularly glad for the interest displayed and support received for this conference since we sent our invitation to the public. I'd like to welcome in particular the Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, and other principal officers, our special guest of honor, our keynote speaker, the lead paper presenters, all deans of faculties, the heads of departments, and members of staff and students present this morning. This is the first of its kind in the history of the Gender Mainstreaming Program of the University of Ibadan. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Gender Mainstreaming Office is a unit established under the office of the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, University of Ibadan. The office is a product of the existence, the extensive research, and program activities funded by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, between 2006 and 2011. In September 2006, the Association of African Universities, AAU, chose the University of Ibadan as a trialing center for its training modules on gender mainstreaming projects in African higher education. In January and March 2007, the university, through WADOC, held 2 downstreaming workshops for the university community and the surrounding tertiary institutions. As a result of the success of these programs, the university management sought to sustain the program by establishing the Gender Mainstreaming Office. The unit is committed to promoting a gender-sensitive institutional culture and widening the scope of gender mainstreaming in Nigeria. From 2007 to 2001, the Gender Mainstreaming Program conducted research on the gender situation in the university, reviewed policies and regulations and the curricula for their gender sensitivity, conducted research on sexual harassment and analyzed data on access, achievements, facilities, security, and the environment under the able leadership of our special guest of honor of today, in person of Professor Abiola Odejide. Can we give her a round of applause? This provided input into a series of consensus building workshops for the university's gender and sexual harassment policy document, the product of 3 years of extensive research, which were submitted to the university management, and both policies were accepted by the University Senate at the sitting of 14th of August 2012. The 2 documents are here, and as you go out, as you step out of this building, you'll be able to have a copy. This is a copy of our sexual harassment policy document, and this is a copy of our gender policy document for the University of Ibadan. Now, it is on this note that this international conference is being organized to acknowledge the efforts of the founding principal investigator in the institutionalization of gender mainstreaming program in the University of Ibadan, and to address emerging issues as regards gender and higher education in Africa. I want to end this welcome address by appreciating all those who have contributed in one way or the other, financially and materially, to ensure that we have a befitting conference in honor of our Reverend founding principal investigator, who just retired from the university, but not tired. You can see her that she's radiant. She looks like a teenager, and so she's still very, 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 very agile. I want to appreciate the efforts of all the members of the local organizing committee and congratulate them for organizing the first ever international conference for the Gender Mainstreaming Program of the University of Ibadan. I believe that the conference will provide a platform for an intensive understanding of all gender-related issues from diverse disciplinary and theoretical orientations as it concerns higher education in Africa. Once again, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the Chairman, Special Guest of Honor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the gender focal persons of the University of Ibadan, I welcome you all to this first ever international conference of the Gender Mainstreaming Office of this great institution. Thank you, and God bless you.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, representing the Vice Chancellor, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to take another short time out to make some other recognitions. First is Professor C.D. Osho, Vice Chancellor Afe Babalola University at Ekiti, being ably represented by Mrs. Tolulope Akinwale.
Recognize the presence of Mrs. Ubele Abia of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, Abuja. May I also recognize the presence of Professor O. Arunwojolu, Dean of Dentistry, you are represented by Dr. Mrs. Juliana Otayo. Let me recognize especially our rural women and men from Inugu. That is an outreach program and station of the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry, University of Ibadan. Wherever you are, kindly stand up for recognition. Gbogbo tí a ń ṣe àárín wípé à ń bí ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n mú ètò wa lò ẹ̀sìn gbogbo ẹ̀dá kan máa fún wọn látẹ̀wọ́ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sí. Àtẹ̀yìn àtàwa àjùmọ̀ṣe ni àyùbẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ ẹ ṣé ẹ káàbọ̀.
The Vice Chancellor, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with deep pleasure and humility that I want to invite the chairman of today's occasion, very distinguished Professor James Akewumi, to please deliver his address. The chairman, sir.
The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by our dear Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Areola Soya. The guest of honor, distinguished members of the high table, my team leader, Professor Falashe, other protocols observed. I was beginning to think that I will be here just as timekeeper, because if the MC decides to take over fully, the chairman has no place. However, I see this international conference as a kind of camouflage with the opportunity to honor my good friend, Professor Mrs. Abiola Odejide. I asked myself, why am I chairman? And I will give you about 4 reasons why I'm chairman of today and what I think I am fit to be. Yes, Abiola was that cute young girl who was girlfriend, later fiancée, and eventually wife of my classmate and colleague, late Professor Bisi Odejide. May his soul rest in peace. Number 2, Biola was the classmate of my wife. So you can see how close things are getting. And 3, when I was asked to compete to be that Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, she was my running mate. She was very hard to beat. 4, when I became Deputy Vice Chancellor, I was made chairman of the distance learning program. She was the director, indeed, the director who established modern distance learning for the University of Ibadan. And finally, and fittingly, when I had to hand over as Deputy Vice Chancellor in 2004, guess who took over? It was Biola Odejide. I don't have any other reason to doubt my position as chairman. So, I'm very happy to be here as chairman of the day, and I'm also grateful to those who put this together in her honor. But I must remember that it all started with one indefatigable lady, Professor Mrs. now B.A. Bolanle Awe, under the arrangement of WARDOC in those days. Thank you, ma'am. The work you started has taken off, and we can see the fruits I hope we have all learned a lot of lessons because like Hanekon, women issues grew and now they have become topical. In the university system and everywhere in the nation, you hear of harassment, you hear of disturbance of girl child and women, ladies. But now the University of Ibadan, through this program, has put up policies that will make everybody think twice. And we can only move forward from here. Congratulations, the women, the gender program. I congratulate you all for the effort you have made. We will hear some new things today, and I hope we will all learn a lot more. I want to end on the note of congratulating the coordinating lady, Mrs. Odebode, for holding the fort. And I pray that we will continue to grow from here. I can see young people, particularly young girls, young ladies here, and I hope we are taking a cue so that nobody can in future put you down in any way. Thank you and congratulations for this program.
Thank you very much, sir, for going down the memory lane to let us have an insight into some interesting aspects of life and times of Professor Abiola Odejide. May we put our hands together once again for the chairman of today's occasion. Thank you, sir. Let me quickly recognize some students of schools who have come to honor very distinguished Professor Abiola Odejide. First, it is my pleasure to present to you the student from the International School, University of Ibadan. Methodist High School, Bodija, Ibadan. Sango High School, Ibadan. Emmanuel College, Ibadan. Graceville College, Ibadan. Umuwani Alaga Grammar School, Ibadan. The representative of the Vice Chancellor, Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, Akoko, wherever you are, kindly stand up for recognition. Oh, you are welcome. May I also recognize the presence of the Acting Director of Women's Studies and Development Center, AAUA, that is Adekunle Ajasin University, Dr. Mrs. Akinfolani. You are welcome. May I also recognize the presence of the Chief Executive Officer, Star Records and Statistics, AAUA, ACCA, HL. The Acting Vice Chancellor, other persons are properly extended. We also have with us today the distinguished presence of the siblings of Professor Abiola Odejide. Well, the siblings and family, let me first recognize and present to this August Assembly Mrs. Mosun Oshayomi. Ambassador and Mrs. Ambassador and Mrs. Olusheye Davis.
Mrs. Oluremi Adesanya. Mrs. Olu Oshayomi. Mr. Tolu Oshayomi, you are welcome. Ms. Lara Lawansi. Dr. Mrs. Shola Adedoja. Dr. Edward Alademere, Director Center for Human Rights and Gender Education, Taishola University of Education, Ijagun, Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. May I at this point invite the chairman of today's occasion to please continue in his majesty to direct the affairs. Let me put us together for the chairman.
Mr. Chairman, sir, permit me to rest on the existing protocol. Say good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm reading directly the speech of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. On behalf of the Governing Council, Management, Senate, staff and students of the University of Ibadan, I am pleased to welcome you all to this international conference, first of its kind in the annals of the University of Ibadan, being organized by the Gender Mainstreaming Office, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. I welcome the special guest of honor to this program, Professor Abiola Odejide, the Honorable Minister of Women's Affairs, the keynote speaker, and other eminent guests from the United States of America, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, South Africa, Uganda, and all tertiary institutions in Nigeria. I sincerely express the gratitude of the University of Ibadan community on this occasion of the visit of key government functionaries to the University of Ibadan campus. The theme of this conference is Gender and Higher Education in Africa, Emerging Issues. It invites us to participate in a new dawn of gender sensitivity in higher educational system, with particular reference to notable emerging issues that constitute the various points of entry in the discussions during the conference. As the premier university and one with a strong consciousness of its role in setting the pace in academic work, research, and community engagement, the University of Ibadan has committed itself to bold initiatives true to our vision of academic excellence. We have also been concerned with a mission to foster the formation of healthy identities, a community characterized by equity, a sense of worth and fulfillment. The recent approval of the Gender and Sexual Harassment Policy document by the University Senate is yet another evidence of the commitment of our university to remain a beacon of innovation and transformation in Nigeria and in Africa. I'm therefore filled with renewed hope and expectation that the conference will yield conclusions and resolutions, proposals and programs that will strengthen gender mainstreaming in our universities, in pursuit of which the University of Ibadan stands out. It would be good to remark that a balanced, objective, but intellectually challenging debate be encouraged so as to create room for robust outcome, in the light of which programs in higher education will be better for it. Our doors are therefore wide open to national and international organizations for collaborations and linkages that can give birth to enormous mutual benefits in the area of gender and higher education. As men and women with rational choices, our actions usually flow from our desires and beliefs, while our desires and beliefs flow from our values and precepts. These values and precepts are to be identified and nurtured in the minds of students, scholars, teachers, and all stakeholders in higher education in Nigeria. Education unarguably stands, as it stands, form the basis of at least partly of cultivating the culture of social, political, and economic responsibilities. I wish to congratulate the current principal investigator of the Gender Mainstreaming Office, Dr. Stella Owodebode, and her team of dedicated staff for taking appropriate steps and initiatives to translate the dream and vision of the new office into a reality. I assure you of the full support and